right, we are gonna register our patient for a cervical. Our patient is changing. They've already been screened, cleared for the exam. I need to pick the cervical assist and get this running so we have good stock images just so we can look at. This is not part of our actual protocol. It's just what we need so we have images to look at and scroll through and set up our planes off of. And I just want to make this all run and go. Now while this is running, I can go get my patient and set my patient up on my table. And then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna pull over my protocol. I'm gonna pull the whole protocol over. It's running my localizers now. I would not have this good sagittal reference image yet, so I'm gonna pull over the scout image. Okay, my field of view's not quite big enough to cover my anatomy, so according to your lab manual, you're supposed to cover your cerebellum through T2. Okay, here's your cerebellum. Here's your densodontoid, your C2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you have 1 and 2. I'm centered right over my cord. So C2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and 2. My face direction is going head to foot. I'm definitely going to need phase oversampling on. Otherwise that head's going to come and wrap back into my image. I have this anterior rest slab here. It's going to help with motion from the mouth, your swallowing, and then it's helping to catch some of this motion too coming off of your heart. You can go ahead and pull over a better coronal image so that you can see your spinal cord to angle with. We want to be at a 3 slice thickness and a 1 gap. In this part, the cord's angled a little bit. Maybe they weren't put in there completely straight, or maybe they just have a curved neck. If you're worried about it, cutting the vertebral bodies a little bit down here, you can always add 2 slices. Okay, so we have our field of view, we have our coverage, our angle, we've adjusted this anterior rest slab, we have a 3 at 1 gap. It's a T2 We are T2 weighted, okay? It all looks good. So if I like it, I can go ahead and I can hit go. Now when I'm looking at my protocol sheet, so the next one on here, it says a T1 sagittal. I don't see a T1 sagittal anywhere on my sheet, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit go and let that run. It does say I need to run this stir sagittal, okay? Well, we just ran a sagittal, a T2, so those parameters are gonna be identical. Your field of view, your phase, your slice thickness, your gap, all of those measurement parameters are identical except for our weighting. For time purposes, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy and paste. Once again, you guys still need to set it up. Okay, so I have same field of view, slices, slice thickness, gap. It's a stir, so it's an inversion pulse sequence. I need to look at my time of inversion because I'm suppressing my fat. So I'm going to go under my contrast tab. Here's my IR. My time of inversion is not correct. So I'm going to go ahead and change that so I suppress fat. And I have a long TR and my TE is 55. Everything looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit go. Now next on my sheet, it says I'm doing a T2 star axial. Well, I can pull over this better sagittal now because I did run it. It's a really large field of view. I don't need my field of view quite so large, okay? So I'm going to decrease that. I'm going to have to decrease some of my slices before it lets me decrease my field of view to the way I want it. My face is going A to P. I definitely have some of that mouth and jaw that's going to wrap back in, so I'm going to want to make sure I have phase oversampling on, because this is going to end up getting angled. So I have my field of view, my phase is going A to P. Make sure you have phase over on. It says I need a slice thickness at 4, and it wants it to be at default. So I'm at 4 and 0.4, so that's good. I need to cover my C2 vertebrae down through T1. Here's my cerebellum. You can see pons. You can see densodontoid process. This is your C2, C3, 4, 5, 6, C7. There's my T1. I have way more slices than what I need, so I'm going to decrease that. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I still have too many. So here's my C2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have my C7 T1 disc space. Perfect. Okay, I'm centered back here on my cord, kind of angling with a general angle with the disc spaces. I'm going to adjust my saturation band here and bring that in a little bit. You should be centered over your axial on your coronal. Should be centered over your cord. Highlight my slices, right click, shift to image plane. Now I'm nice and centered in the middle of my cord there. It's a T2 star. This is a gradient echo pulse sequence. Okay. We're gonna want a small flip angle. I'm gonna change that to 20. Per your physics book, good parameters to start with is like around a 400 TR and a TE between 15 to 20. And I think we're good. We have our coverage, we've got an angle, our saturation band is set there, our rest slab. Phase oversampling's on, we checked our weighting parameters, everything looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and hit go. It did say in there, on your guys' sheet, it does ask you, so it says what happens when you, let me just open this. So it says what happens when you change your NSA to 3, and it wants you to tell me what happens. Siemens calls it averages, so your averages are the same as your NSA or your NEX. So here's our time right now. So we have 5.5 minutes, our signal's at 1. If we increase that to 3, okay, so remember, NEX, NSA, also averages, that's in our scan time calculation, okay? So when we increase this, it's going to increase our scan time, okay? So we just tripled it. Also increased our signal. So remember, that kind of goes into our K-space filling too. How many times are we going to fill that same drawer or that same line of K-space? It's like that coats of paint. The more coats of paint you put on the wall, the more times you fill that line of K-space, you're going to get better signal because you're putting more data into it. Okay, so that's what's happening. It's increasing your signal, increasing your time. Okay, here's our T1 weighted sequence. We have dark CSF. Here's our T2. You can see our cerebrospinal fluid. We have our dark cord. Here's our spinous processes. So if this is C2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's the T7 spinous process. You can see some nerve roots. Through your foramen or your neural foramen openings or your intervertebral openings.